I feel sorry here for Jakob Plasek, who's fought his heart out, but Primisil, brilliant performance, final set, serving for it. Just massive concentration from both players there, and particularly this one, getting right down for his shots.
There's already, thank you.
Didn't quite get enough on that first volley. A low forehand cross court.
What a good effort by Plasek to level a 30-all from 30 love. I just get the feeling he's counting his chickens again, just a little bit too much, Primisil.
5-1, 30-all. Fifth set. That's out, that's match point, and it's the second time he's been at match point, and there's been about an hour and something in between the two. And I can't think many players will have played a first Davis Cup tie in a more dramatic atmosphere than that. Michael Stick and his wife there, ready to celebrate. Match point number 2 for the Germans to take a lead of 1-love. Stick knows what it's like to fail when you've had a match point. He had 9 in Moscow in the semi-finals last year. That was a wonderful performance, really, of great courage and persistence by David Primisil. He had to rouse himself from his misery, and he's managed to do so.
Yeah, terrific effort by Primisil there. How wonderful he must feel, and how really rather awful Jakob Plasek must feel with his great experience. But he put up a terrific fight, and I think the winning of this match by Germany could set this whole tie alight.
Germans 1 up after 3 1/4 hours in the opening rubber.
Well, after that performance from Primisil, who really needs Boris Becker? Peter Fleming, that was a hell of a debut, wasn't it?
That was a great match. It was really exciting just to sit here and watch. It was a match in 3 parts, really. You know, in the beginning, it looked as though Jakob Plasek wanted to be the man, but you know, he looked a little bit past it, really. You know, he's in his 30s now. He's played for 14 years on the tour, and a lot of times when you get out in a situation like that, you almost are playing from memory rather than here's the ball, hit it back. It's what did I do back in 1982 that worked so well, and whenever you play like that, you can have a disjointed effect, and I think that in the beginning, Plasek just was, you know, split, just a step behind Primisil.
No, it's maybe played a part for Plasek to begin with.
Oh, maybe so. I think that any time you are, I know later on in my career, I felt as though I should be winning all these matches, and yet the confidence wasn't there, and don't ask me where it went, but yeah, you do get more nervous. just generally speaking, you get more nervous as your career goes on.
Prenisil, to me, came out really with nothing to lose, did he? And he looked like he was relishing the opportunity to get out there in front of what was a very patriotic crowd.
Prenisil started out very nicely. He's a great athlete. He moves well around the court and looked just comfortable from the start.
And his forehand, for me as well, was slightly dodgy, but towards the end it picked it up, didn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, we've got some bits of analysis here for you to have a look at. We picked this one out in the second set. Really, Lasek was trying everything to claw his way back into the match at this stage, and that's just great athleticism there from Lasek.
Yeah, well, in fact, actually stopping, you know, that little lucky drop volley almost worked well for him.
And this was in the third set. Prenisil playing well from the back at this stage, although, as we said earlier, the forehand starting to look slightly shaky in the third set. But he played this point well, going back behind Lasek and then coming in to cut off the volley. Now, Lasek, for me, changed. Do you not think he changed his tactic almost towards the end of the second set? He was maybe going forward, then he realised that if he actually just kept the ball in the island, he'd start to win a lot more points.
It became very apparent that Prenisil was starting to get nervous. That last point that we saw was in about the middle part of the third set, and at that point Prenisil was playing very well and very aggressively and really had no problems. Towards the end of the third set, though, you could see a little tension creeping in, and Lasek, it was apparent that he had decided, okay, I'm just going to get the ball back. Rather than trying to serve and volley, I'm going to play a patient sort of game and see if Prenisil's, if I can find a chink in his armor. And we did see a dramatic downturn in Prenisil's forehand. I mean, he couldn't hit his hat for a while, and really, from hitting aggressive shots and sneaking in behind them, as we saw there, suddenly he was in big trouble. And you know, it's interesting. I think what happened there is that Prenisil got tired. You know, he got mentally tired. Physically, you could see he was still running full bore in the fifth set. So a five-set tennis match like this is a bit like a football match.
It's like being on a roller coaster, isn't it? Almost
momentum
up and down.
changes, and Prenisil was rolling and probably is not used to playing at a very high intensity level over 5 sets. And somewhere in the third set, the crowd got behind Lasek, and all of a sudden, Prenisil is looking at a big wall, and he had a chance to win his match point, and maybe he wasn't, excuse me, maybe he wasn't focused as well as he would have liked to have been, and then he was in big trouble.
Now, how important is that crowd support for Lasek? For me, it was you know, starting to get on top of Prenisil. After he lost that match point, as you said, he came right the way down again, and almost think he said, my God, I've got to start all over again.
When Lasek got back to 5-all in the third, it's anyone's match, because you could see in Prenisil's face that he was scared, and he really did not want to be there. And Lasek, you could also see that going through his mind, okay, I'm putting the pressure on. If I win this set, I'm in the match, and we start over. And really, Prenisil, after Lasek won the third set, Prenisil was exhausted. You know, we'll see.
But his forehand actually started to find its mark there, didn't it? The beginning of the fourth set and then into the fifth set.
Well, yeah, it looked as though he might try to get it back together. I mean, a lot of times you can get the momentum back. Just starting a new set means you forget about the nerves you had, and it looked as though that was going to happen here. Prenisil that was a really nicely stroked forehand. And I thought that maybe that was going to turn it around for him.
Yeah, I mean, that was to get the break back in the fourth set. Lasek got the early break to lead 1-0 and then lost his serve again.
But Lasek did play excellent tennis in that fourth set especially. And this point is great. You can see he was in full flow. And that shot, I mean, you do not see that shot often. Watch this. This is a sand iron. He just slid right under that. And I promise you, Jakub Lasek will not hit 10 drop shots like that in his career, in a match, in a big match like that. So he was in full flow, and suddenly at the start of the fifth set, now it's even, and everyone's thinking, well, okay, Lasek's in the driver's seat. Now, an interesting part of tennis is the the mental pressure that someone is under. You know, it actually takes a lot of energy to be the front runner, to be ahead all the time. You've got to work to keep your focus and concentration, and that's draining. And for Prentice-Hill really played 2 sets where there was no pressure on him. There's very little pressure in being behind. And I think what we saw is when Prentice-Hill sort of gathered himself together and put some pressure on Lassick, in the end, that Jakob was gone. He was very tired.
Are you surprised at how resilient Prentice-Hill was? I mean, Davis Cup debut, 2 sets love up, loses the next 2, and for me, I mean, I put my money on Lassick straight away. He has a 32-18 career singles win in Davis Cup. Experience is vastly in his favour, but Prentice-Hill just hung in there.
Yeah, Prentice-Hill's a good player. You know, he's a good player, and he's physically very strong, and he's hung in there, and you have to give him a lot of credit.
But there are different pressures. I think we've got to try and put across it. There are different pressures in Davis Cup, and for me, for Prentice-Hill to be, for the first time playing for his country, to be able to come back like that, I thought was absolutely superb.
Yeah, I have to agree.
And in the 5th set, he just went up a gear, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. He did. As soon as he got back into the match, he was suddenly relaxed again. It really was. He was playing as he was in the beginning of the match. Now, that was a beautiful drop volley and something that he wouldn't have tried in the 3rd or 4th sets. And it was nice to see him pull it back together, because had he lost that 5th set, and I think it would have hurt him for years to come.
Now, Lassick's got to play doubles, hasn't he, tomorrow? Probably Prentice-Hill might have as well. That's going to hurt Lassick, isn't it, that loss?
Oh, sure. I think had Lassick ended up winning that match in 5 sets, I think it could have just shot the Germans. Now, this match is still finely poised, because Rosset is certainly is the favorite to win this match, and I think the final 3 matches are all very close affairs.
So it's all in the balance, isn't it? It's going to be a good next couple of days, isn't it? Saturday and Sunday. All right, we're going to take a quick break. Coming up after the break, we're going to look at some matches, results from matches around the world, and also a look on the pressure on the home team. And welcome back. Right, there's been some other results going along in the world group around the world. Let's take a look at those results. Italy against Russia. Andre Gaudenzi coming back from 2 sets to love down there, winning 6-1 in the 5th set. That match was on for 4 hours and 8 minutes. If you think that's long, the longest match in the Davis Cup history is 6 hours, 22 minutes. That's John McEnroe and Mats Wilander in 1982. India against Netherlands, Jaco Elting giving them the early lead against Leander Paes. This is being played on grass in Jaipur. 6-4, 7-5, 6-4 to Elting. Czech Republic against Hungary, Daniel Vacek being very, very comfortable against Josef Kroshko. 6-3, 6-3, 6-4. And France against Denmark, Guy Forget. Tight match that in 4 sets, coming through 7-6 in the 4th. South Africa, Austria, this one being played on grass. Thomas Muster gave Austria the early lead, a surprise win for Muster. That's the first time he's won on grass in his life. And then Wayne Ferreira squared it at 1-1 for South Africa.